YTPC Padre coming to you via the virtual airwaves of YouTube to say, hello YouTube, how the heck are you? I hope you're finding all the blessings that the Lord has in store for you. I sure am enjoying some blessings. It's about that time, almost that time of the day to knock off on a Friday afternoon. And I'm enjoying a cup of the black stuff in my white BRTV, red, white, and blue, in fact. Coffee mug. Good stuff. And you know what I did today? I went over lunch to my local B&M. We got to support them guys. We really do. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go in there and look and see if there's something I've never had that just sticks out at me and says, hey, try me. And going in, I never would have thought I was going to come out with an aromatic, because I mean, how many more aromatics can I try, right? And yet I came out with one. But don't give up on me yet. I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's one that you might have heard of. It's got a long history, and this is a recreation of it. It has, come and gone in its original form. And it's London Dock by Daughters and Ryan. And I've got to tell you, I have been pleasantly surprised by this. And that's a good thing. It really is. Before I get any further into telling you my first impressions on this, however, I do want to remind you that I am this month celebrating my 4th year anniversary on the YTPC. My official anniversary date is October the 10th. I didn't know that date in the last video I made, and I thought I was closing out my giveaway this weekend, but I'm not. It's next weekend. The reason I confused myself was I had actually made my first video in 2015 on October the 3rd, but I didn't post it till the following Saturday, October the 10th. Why? I needed an entire week to get my nerve up to put that thing up there. So anyway, we got another week or so to go. A week from today, a week from Friday, at 11:59 p.m. my time, next week, Friday the 10th. I'm going to close it out. You can go over and see the video I posted, I think September 23rd or 24th or something like that. And it says Padre's 4-year anniversary or whatever, and you can see how you can enter to get in there. You can get one chance, or you can get up to 3 chances, depending on how you want to go about it. So there's still time. Still time. If you did make a video response and I haven't added you to my playlist, go look at that playlist, see if you're on there. If you're not there, let me know. For some reason, that means I've just missed it. And I know a lot of people, I've asked them, if you make a video response, put it in the comments to the original GAW video. But what happens is, because it's a link, a lot of times it just gets caught up in spam, and I got to go into the spam part of YouTube, and it's just messed. So at any rate, if you don't see your video entered in the playlist, let me know before the 10th so I can make sure I get it included and you get your extra 2 entries and such. So back to this delightfully surprising aromatic blend called London Dock. Now this is an old blend. This is a reincarnation of an old blend, is what I should say. And I've spent some time on the interwebs today doing a little research on it and trying to figure out what did I just get my hands on. Let me see if I can read you the tin description without reading glasses. It says, an aromatic blend with sensuous flavor notes of rum, cherry, and vanilla, premium double toasted burleys, flue-cured Virginias, and naturally sweet Orientals marry exquisitely with a touch of spicy Louisiana Perique. This is a 50-gram tin. I can show you what it looks like. In fact, I'll probably include some beef footage. That's it. Right out of the tin, I can tell you it is, I think, a perfect moisture level to go right into the pipe. It's relatively dry, particularly for an aromatic. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, that's kind of a good thing. And the tin note is quite unique. Now, you can certainly pick up on first sniffer, you're going to pick up that cherry, but then there's other stuff going on here. This is where it gets so interesting and complex, because aromatics aren't usually complex, and this one is. You keep doing that sniffer test on the tin note, and then you pick up sort of this, I don't want to say lakelands, but there's a floral essence about it, and it's actually quite nice. And then there's other stuff going on. It's definitely burley forward. There's no doubt about that. And that comes across, and again, this is just one bowl, folks. But it comes across when you light up, because you get a bit of that nuttiness, but then there's that floral part of it too. And if you draw on it prior to lighting it up, you also get that definitely a cherryness, but it's not, I don't think it's that artificial Luden's cough drop cherry. So if that's what you're looking for, because this is considered, at least the original would have been a Cadre blend. It was sold in the drugstores in pouches and such. But that's not the kind of cherry it is. And there's a rumness that, it says there, the rum part of it, and that's giving a sweetness to it. It's not a boozy. I've had rum toppings and you get the boozy. This is just really the sweet part of the rum, but without being overly done. And it's not, again, for an aromatic, I go back to saying it's perfectly moist out of the tin, right level of dryness and moisture and such. It's fairly dry actually, but it's not brittle dry, and it's not goopy at all, which is really odd for something that's called an aromatic and has cherry casing to it, right? Not goopy at all. Now, I'll tell you this. Part of the research I was doing was I went to YouTube to see who might have already talked about this, and I found a couple. And the first one I listened to is my friend Eric, the blue collar pipe smoker. And I mean, literally, he says in the first few minutes of his video how much he enjoys it, and he goes into talking about, but wait, don't smoke it right out of the tin. Let it sit out for a week or so in a jar or something. And I mean, I had literally done this. I was like, let it sit out first. I had already just put the charring light to it. So if it gets better, that's wonderful. He didn't like it right out of the tin like that. And I think it might probably, my suspicion is, the less tame part of this, I think, is probably that kind of floral essence, and that might have been what turned him off. I don't know. I'd have to go back and see if he says so, or he may want to chime in and say. But if this only gets better, that's wonderful. It reminds me a little bit of Samuel Gwith's Celtic Talisman. It's not the same thing. It just reminds me of that. I think it's the Virginias that are in there reminding me of that, and that level of sort of cherryness that's in Celtic Talisman. But I don't know. I was telling you, I did some research on this because it's fascinating. One of the best sources that I found for this came from a guy right here in my own city. He's a member of the New Orleans Pipe Club. He's got a blog. It's called Pappy Joe's Blog. You can find it at pappyjoesblog.com. And he's got an entry from February of 2019 about this. And he did a fantastic job of researching this so that I didn't have to. But what he says is, he's got some notes from Mark Ryan of, Daughters and Ryan. This is the guy who blended this. And he says that from those notes from Mark that it contains double toasted burley, Virginia Oriental, and Perique. The Perique I guess it's there, and maybe that's accounting for a little bit of the spiciness. I think some of the spiciness is coming from the Orientals. It all plays well. It says it's topped with rum and coumarin flavors. The original formula had deer tongue, which is replaced by coumarin. And apparently that's done because deer tongue is, I don't know if it's got FDA problems or something as an herb. But, deer tongue, it's in Crooner's blend, and it's a Gentleman Caller maybe. There's a couple of blends out there that allegedly have deer tongue in it. And it gives a sort of almost a vanilla-y kind of flavor to it. And I don't get a whole lot of vanilla from this. So, but they're using coumarin as the substitute for the deer tongue. Mark Ryan notes that the original London Dock used rose essence. And if that's what they were going after, they pretty well did that. That might be that floral that I'm picking up on. It's very unique. It's very well done. It's not overdone. I rather like it, in fact. And it's something that you can kind of get in the tin note. Every time you sniff it, it just comes out a little different. But you kind of get it playing in the background with the taste as well. So rose essence, whatever the heck that is. I don't know. It says the original London Dock was produced by Christian Pepper Tobacco Company of St. Louis, Missouri, and it was advertised as an aromatic. And then Block Brothers bought Pepper and some other companies in the early 1950s, and London Dock was one of the blends that Pepper acquired. And some of the other blends included Cosby Square, Whitehall, Pepper's Pouch, and Brush Creek. Again, I'm getting all this from Pappy Joe's blog. So thank you, Pappy Joe. This is good stuff. Then he goes on in his history that he's given here, and he does a fantastic job. Again, he did a lot of research on this. Apparently, Kentucky Club bought the pipe tobacco side of Block Brothers, and then they changed the name to Made by Kentucky Club. So that's interesting. Then apparently, American Tobacco Company made the blend at some point in the 60s, and then they sold it to Middleton, and then it just goes on. And so I guess one of the warnings that Pappy Joe gives is that if you're looking for this blend, I think as he says that your ancestors may have smoked, you may or may not be getting a true-to-life version of it in this particular incarnation by Daughters and Ryan, because it was apparently different at different times in its production life by different companies. And at another point in time, apparently Sale produced London Dock as well. So back then it was a Cavendish, Virginia blend with floral essence and sweet sugar flavoring. And I want to say somewhere in here in this history, maybe it was someone else who said it and not necessarily Pappy Joe, but they talked about there was some Latakia in it. There's definitely no Latakia in this particular incarnation of it. This is done by, again, Mark Ryan of Daughters and Ryan. And I'm going to tell you this, and I think a lot of people have been saying this because it's so evident and obvious and true. If you are not too familiar with Daughters and Ryan, and maybe you should be, because they are putting out some really good blend. I'll tell you another one that I have enjoyed thoroughly for about a year now is called Raccoon's Friend by Daughters and Ryan. And that's worthy of its own video one day, so I'm going to have to do that. But this one here, for what is, allegedly a cherry aromatic, it's just different. If you are, for instance, into the typical, when I think cherry aromatic, the first one that sort of comes to mind that everybody loves is Cult Blood Red Moon. I have never been a huge fan. I don't have a problem with Cult Blood Red Moon. It's just not my go-to if I'm craving something aromatic and sweet and cherry. Why? I don't like the presentation of that version of cherry. To me, it's not that I don't like it. It's just not high up there for me. And here's why. It reminds me of like the cherry flavoring, not from cough drops or from candy or anything like that as a kid. It reminds me of the cherry fruity flavoring from cereals when I was a kid. And it's just a little too in your face and a little too sweet for my taste. So sometimes I go to it. So, I've got it. I don't have anything against it. It's just not top of the list for me. So if that's what you're looking for, a Blood Red Moon sort, this is not that. This is something totally different. And This is the kind of blend that I think would give an aromatic a good name for someone who doesn't typically go to aromatics. Again, I think the barleys are forward. They're well done. The Virginia in there is so nice. There's just a hint of that Oriental, which again I think is accounting for some of that undertone of a spiciness, and it must be playing really well with the Perique. I don't get a big Perique out of this, but it's interesting because as this has gone down, I'm probably in the bottom third now. Again, first bowl. More of a vanilla type of an essence has been coming through for me, and it's not a sickly sweet Cavendish OTC kind of vanilla that you might be thinking, and it doesn't live up to that. With it, it's not goopy like you would expect that. This is just done differently, almost like a high quality dessert vanilla that you would get from a nice restaurant that's worked into some sort of well done dessert or something. So this is just an interesting blend. I'm having a blast with it. By the caution of Eric Blue Collar, I am going to go ahead and throw it in a jar and let it sit for a week or two and come back to it again, because he said it was much more enjoyable by doing it that way. He did not like it right out. I don't think it was for him. It was like a moisture thing where it had to sit, because this again is not overly moist. I think it's just about right, coming right out of the tin. And but I expect that once the seal is broken and some air gets to it, some of that initial topping might sort of fade down a little bit, allow for more of the Burley and Virginia to play forward. Again, every time I smell it, there's just something a little different, or I get a little bit more of a full appreciation for everything that's going on. And there's a lot going on, but there's just no denying that sort of floral essence. And again, if you don't like Lakelands, I don't want this to scare you away. It's a floral essence, but it's not like that. It's not like what I think of when I think of, say, Samuel Gawith's Grousemore, where that has, that floral granny's panties, which I kind of like Grousemore, so, call me a granny's panties guy if you want. But anyway, this is interesting. I get a few more under my belt. I'll maybe talk a little bit more about it, but something different as we enter into fall. You say, well, why are you still doing these cherry aromatics as we enter into fall? Well, because it's 95 degrees down here in New Orleans, and we're not getting a cold front till after the weekend. We're allegedly getting our first cool front to come through here Monday night, Tuesday morning. So we're all looking forward to it. It's almost like it's like Christmas. You count the days till Christmas comes. We're all just counting the days, like, how many more days until we get a cool front through? Because it's just been brutally hot. I said in my last video, we set a record in September how hot and dry it was down here, and it's just hot. So we're looking forward to that first little hint of cool air that should be with us by Tuesday morning when I'm doing my. I've got a Women's Guild Holy Eucharist to do this coming Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. And I'm looking forward to it just being a beautiful day as I greet my ladies coming to the church that day to begin the day with some worship, as they then go into their business meeting to do whatever the business that women's guilds do. That'll let me in those meetings. So anyway, I'm rambling now. I don't know what you got going on for the weekend. I hope whatever it is, it brings you great pleasure. I've got Blessing of the Animals tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And again, there's still another week to go on the gala. Yesterday, this is really the reason I made this video today. I didn't want anybody to be confused. I had to go back and watch my original video to find out when I said I was going to close it. Not closing it today like I thought. The original video said the 10th, so that's a week from today, 11:59 at midnight. It goes away. It'll say closed, and you won't be able to enter anymore if you want to get in on the gall. The giveaway, of course, is an unopened tin of an Ain't There No More blend from McClellan's called Holiday Spirit. I'm also throwing in, which I don't know if you can get this anymore or not, it was limited edition from the Country Squire, a fall blend called Falling Leaves. You're going to get 2 ounces of that, and you're also going to get 2 ounces of a wonderful English blend from Country Squire Tobacconist called Shepherd's Pie. And they dare to put the words Frogmorton in the description on the website. But forget Frogmorton's for a moment. Shepherd's Pie, in its own right, is a fantastic winter blend for me. A nice Latakia English blend, and I think you'll enjoy it too. So somebody's going to win that. And again, you can go over to the September 23rd video, figure out how you can get yourself entered for that. I'm getting ready to be calling it an evening, and I think I'm going to catch some high school football this evening, and then I'll be with the puppies and the kitties and the snakes and the gerbils and the ferrets and the hermit crabs and the turtles and the parakeets. I've even blessed tarantulas. Not that I like to do that. I kind of do them from a distance. But that's what I'll be doing tomorrow morning. So let me sign off for now. Always a blessing to spend some time with you guys, and shameless plug for Phil and Briar Report Television as I take another sip from the BRTV mug, which, by the way, yesterday in my live, Phil said they're going to have a BRTV gift shop on the website, and you'll be able to actually get some BRTV swag, including coffee mugs. So good news. Keep an eye out for that. Hey, have a great weekend, or if you're watching this on a Monday, have a great week. If you're watching it during the day, have a great day. If it's at night, have a great night. Whatever the case may be, just make it a great one. Padre wishing you and yours God's peace, grace, and blessings.